After several years, we finally have a new Hunger Games film, so today I'm going to stop and rank all 5 Hunger Games movies from the worst to the best. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comments section. Share your ranking of the Hunger Games films and throw in some point of reference. Did you read the books? What did you think about them? What did you think about the changes, where they decided to split Mockingjay? All of that fun stuff. All right, as for me, I haven't read any of the Hunger Games books, but back in summer of 2011, before the first movie came out, I was on a trip to the Navajo Nation with a group of teenagers to go dig a bunch of outhouses, lay the foundation for a new food pantry, and we had nothing to do during our free time, so my wife read the first Hunger Games book to all of us during that trip. So I had the first book read to me by my wife back in summer of 2011. That is my only experience with the books, but rewatching them over the last month, showing them to my 9-year-old daughter for the first time, I really enjoyed them more than I ever enjoyed them before. I enjoy all of these movies, but we have to rank them. Before we do that, today's video is brought to you by Audible. You can get a free audiobook of your choice by signing up for a free trial of Audible at audibletrial.com/Sean Chandler. That means you can get a free Hunger Games book, you can get the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes for free. I'm a massive fan of Audible. I'm constantly listening to audiobooks, and you can get yourself a free audiobook by signing up for a free trial at audibletrial.com/Sean Chandler. And let's get to ranking. Last, Mockingjay Part 1. I do enjoy this film. It's an important piece of the story, but I think that this one was essentially set up to be the weakest of the films inherently by what they did, which was they took a book, cut it in half, and so the part of it that is all set up, that is all changing the rules, that's all laying the foundation, is this movie. And so you have a movie that feels like it doesn't really pay off. It isn't completing its own story. It's just setting up the one that does have all the satisfying conclusions to everything we've been working towards. But it's not even just that that's the problem. The other issue here is that with what this story is, it is such a departure from everything else in the series. Because it's been about Katniss Peeta. All right, now Katniss is with largely a different group of people, and Peeta's over here brainwashed. And it's been about building up towards Hunger Games or building up towards a battle. This one certainly doesn't have Hunger Games in it, and then it also doesn't really even build up to a real clear battle. And so it's just a lot of the political side to it. A different set of characters. We're missing out on some of our favorite interactions in here. So it's different. And without a big payoff at the beginning, it's at the end, it's different in a way that isn't fully satisfying, but in and of itself as a film. But what I'll elaborate on this when I get to Mockingjay Part 2 a lot more. But what I greatly appreciate is that the author, the writers, director, they committed to the premise. They didn't cheat just to give you overly satisfying moments, to give the crowd-pleasing moments. They didn't cheat. They stuck to the idea. And so it is bleak. It's harsh, and you're seeing characters that you love make bad choices, being put in horrible situations. And it's not black and white, capital bad, everyone else good. It's not that simple. And you see that in this film. It's too much setup. I don't know how they should have restructured it. I haven't read the book to be able to kind of even make comment on that sort of thing. But the way they did it set this one up to be the weakest, though I still do like it. For the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And to me, this is 2/3 so much better than I was expecting, and a fresh, interesting new take on the Hunger Games themselves, both in the sense of when the story takes place and the aesthetic that comes with that, the freshness to the war and how people feel about it, and then just telling it from the perspective of Snow, all of it just gives it a different vibe while delivering the Hunger Game experience that you want. And then it's 1/3, not bad, but it feels like, wait a minute, shouldn't this movie have just be over by now? And So once again, I haven't read the book. I feel like this type of structure works better in a book. When you're watching a movie and you're in a theater, there's a different way that you engage with the story as opposed to when you read a book over days, weeks, a month, versus sitting there in one seat. And when your plot of the first 2/3 of your movie resolves and then there's an hour left, it feels like I'm just waiting for the credits to roll. Even though, like, I get what they're doing with we're finishing the story of Snow and what shaped him into the person that we know. I get all of that. But on an experiential level, watching a movie, it's a really tough structure to pull off, especially when it's like almost 3 hours long. And this one is almost the counterexample to Mockingjay Part 1 of if Mockingjay is the one where you go, they needed to do that differently. Maybe that should have been just one movie. You look at this one and you go, this one should have been 2 movies. And I think this one, it's easier to just see it. There's literal Hunger Games in the first half. So you have this whole plot that resolves and you leave on a cliffhanger of he's sent off. And then we can really elaborate on this story of what happens in the back end of that. And maybe that's a little tough because then once again, it's so different without Hunger Games. But that's the same problem with the third act of this film of it just feels like, well, we went off in a very different direction there now, didn't we? Rushed through it. So I think this one would have been served better being split and really allow each half to be its own thing, its own plot, its own story that are designed to go together. In third, Mockingjay Part 2. And when I first saw this film, I really didn't know how I felt about it because it doesn't give the cheap, easy, crowd-pleasing answer that you want out of this, that the Capitol's bad, revolution good, yay, we did it. It doesn't make it that easy on any level at all. So rewatching it a couple weeks back, that's really what I enjoyed about this film. I think it's a little bit slow and meandering during the first half when we're actually doing the battle, which should be the exciting part, but it's just because we're stretching out one book into 2 movies and we're not doing the setup. Felt kind of stretched out at the beginning. As you move into the back half and we actually get the resolutions, I loved that they didn't compromise. That they made it so clear that Capitol is evil and have a lust for power. But these revolutionaries that have a lust for power, they're not any better. Some of the people are fighting because they're fighting against evil. Others are fighting because they want control. And so you get into the final bit of it and the final reveals of what Julianne Moore's character did, what was really going on. I love the interaction between Katniss and Snow as he's lost and defeated and talking to someone that he actually kind of respects in all of this because she actually is honest and true in what she does. And he's realizing how he, as calculating as he was, how he missed it because he was so fixated on her. Love those interactions and how the final pieces play out in the last little bit where you have Katniss, who is the consistent, reluctant hero. She is truly heroic. She's actually a good person, but in the sense that she wants to do the right thing. She wants to help her family. She's not trying to lead a revolution. And it's that honesty and sincerity is what makes her the symbol that people can connect with because she's truly that person. And in the end, it's gut-wrenching for her. And she's heroic in a way that you're not expecting. But they also find a way to give us just enough of a happy resolution in the end. So another one structurally that I don't know if the 3-hour version of Mockingjay as a single movie would have been like the awesome answer or something like that. I don't know. I haven't read the book. I don't know how you could change it up. But I think there's a version in here that wasn't what we got that would have elevated both parts 1 and 2. Our runner-up, The Hunger Games. This one actually really frustrated me when I first had it read to me and first watched the film because it's so effective at doing what it's trying to do, which is make you hate the Capitol and view the Hunger Games as just so sick and twisted, but also the inherent nature of the book is that we as the audience are kind of the Capitol, that we're like entertained by the thrills of watching these impoverished children trying to fight each other. And so it's such an odd set of emotions that I felt that it really frustrated me. And as soon as I saw Catching Fire and you start to have the push back, the rebellion starts, I was like, okay, all right. As long as we got that coming, I'm feeling a lot better about this. But rewatching it 2-3 weeks back, just a great example of world building and giving you a balanced set of characters that you just dropped into this world, and it's instantly interesting. You care about the little details, and you see the world through the different ways that each character is responding to everything kind of going on around them. And we have this lead character that we're rooting for, and even the characters in it are rooting for her in a way that she's not rooting for herself. And she doesn't see her own potential. Like a little line of dialogue early on where Peter's like, hey, maybe finally District 12 can win. And my mom's not referring to me, referring to you, which would be a hilarious thing for a mother to say to their son that was about to die. Hey, we might win because she's awesome. Not you, buddy. But like these little details that like amp you up, get you excited for what's going on, and slowly move you into this world. They find a way to be able to kind of play out the story where you can root for our kids that kill other kids in a manner that it's just okay enough, that it's not brutal. It can still be thrilling. It can be heartbreaking. And like another one of these movies that just showed like how Jennifer Lawrence very quickly became this in-demand A-lister because she just owns the screen. She's just so good at it, of coming off strong, vulnerable, but as a believable individual that's put into this horrifying situation, and obviously became this icon as Katniss. And so just a very solid introduction to this world. I remember when it first came out, there was some complaints about kind of the shaky cam, not really showing the kills. It's a PG-13 movie about kids killing each other. There's only so much you can do here before it's immediately rated R, and thus its target audience can't even see it. So that didn't really bother me. But coming in at first place, Catching Fire, and this does seem to be most people's favorite entry in the Hunger Games, and I think that's for pretty obvious reasons. It delivers all the thrills and excitement that are in the first one. You get another round of the Hunger Games, but it also expands on all of the intricate politics of the Capitol, the mind games that are going on, and how when people push back, how the Capitol pushes back. And so it makes you furious with the Capitol. But in this one, the rebellion starts to win. You start to see it's not just watching people being the Capitol punching down. You're seeing the pushback and what comes of that. The importance of what Katniss did, how she inspired people, and how there's hope that this whole thing could end. And so when you put all those pieces together, you just get a more holistic experience, because you have the horror, but you also have the hope that wasn't really in the first one. And that, I think, is what kind of elevates it a good bit, by having all the best of the franchise. And even, some of the characters like Gale, who are smaller role in the first one, gets more to do here. We add in several new great characters, kind of expanding on things. We see just how conniving Snow is, not just as like the guy watching from a distance, giving some guidance on things, but stepping in as he sees a problem and he needs to squash that problem. And so he really starts to emerge as the villain, orchestrating so much of the horrors that are going on here. And so that for me is what just kind of takes this one and easily makes it the best of the series. It's all the things that I liked in the first one, but better. And it has the complexities that are in Mockingjay, that rebellions aren't simple and easy, but with a little bit more of a sense of victory to it, and without the issue of an odd structure that you have with Mockingjay being split into two parts. So for me, without question, Catching Fire Comes in at number 1. It was my favorite 10 years ago when it first came out. It was like, yes, this is what I wanted the first one to be, even when it was a little bit more cynical back in the day. And rewatching it again, I was like, yeah, this is it right here. So it comes in at number 1. If you enjoyed this video, I've got more videos just like it. You can check them out right over here in this playlist. I don't even know what I'm sending you to right now. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV.